Hello everybody, thanks for joining me on this edition of The Real World Prepper. Forcibly removing a bomb and other things to consider when forming your prepping group. Let's dive into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, purging bad eggs from your prepper group. Okay, first of all, let's talk about a prepper group. All right, if you've watched any of my stuff, you've probably heard me from time to time mention my group. I have a very small number of people who, very small, one hand number of people who at this point are kind of included in a group. And my current plan, as I've stated before in other videos also, is right now is to bug in where we are because we don't have a bug out location. My wife and I are actually looking to find a place with some land that's more rural than where we are. You know, and either with a house on it or build a house and go ahead and move to a spot that is our spot. We haven't really thought about yet the considerations as our group and what we might do regarding that. The couple of people that are in my group right now, that I do consider in my group right now, they actually, two of them collectively own some land, 20 some odd acres. And of course, you know, they expect that we'll go out there, you know, if we need to, and we may. I mean, just depending on what happens and when. You know, we've got a plan A and we've got a plan B, you know, we've got contingencies and all. But, you know, it's hard enough to build a community while things are good. You know, it's hard enough to come up with friends that are like-minded and that you can get along with and that share the same ideals that you do. And, you know, not everybody has to be just alike and everything, of course, but when it comes to a prepping group, when it comes to after an SHTF event and you've got to band together with these people to count on your survival and well-being, your ability to eat and defend yourself and take care of yourself and all of that, there's a lot more to consider. First of all, I'm going to say that most prepper groups need to include people like you know, mechanics, carpenters, farmers, people who know how to handle livestock, you know, gardeners, electricians. We need communications people with, you know, ham, CB, etc. Skills and equipment. Healthcare, nurses, doctors, EMTs, paramedics, people with those skills. We need strategists, you know, because we may find ourselves having to you know, be in a position of having to make strategery, right? Security, defense, tactical things, bushcraft, hunters, gatherers, general labor, contractors. We need to cross-train these members as well so that one person has more than one skill. You know, they may be a mechanic by trade, but if they can also learn from the electrician in the group, you know. So think about that. And more importantly, most importantly, we need leaders, okay? We need people, leaders. This needs to be designated and designed. I think that there is not a whole lot of room for, at least initially, there shouldn't be a whole lot of room, in my opinion, for a co-leadership type of deal with many members within the group. Now, there should be some sort of way of handling, you know, decision making and that kind of thing, but I think a leader should be a leader. And all of these things should be sought out, found, agreed upon, you know, prior to an SHTF event. So while you're building a group, okay? So I recommend that your group be like-minded people, be on the same page. If you're Christian, they need to be Christian. I recommend that, okay? But not crazy, okay? This is going to be very hard to achieve. You don't want flakes, you don't want druggies, you don't want mentally unstable people, you don't want people with crazy ideologies. Even some Christians, you know, or people who say they're Christians have, in my opinion, some really crazy ideology about what that means, I suppose, to them. You know, me personally, I don't want racists or any type of people haters, okay? At the same time, you know, I don't want certain people in my group. You know, I don't want leftists, I don't want socialists, I don't want people who are not like-minded, okay? It has nothing to do with their race or their creed or their nationality or anything like that. It has everything to do with an agreement on what this group is all about, okay? So, you know, we most likely will not be able to commune with leftists, socialists, communists, Satanists, etc. You know, I won't anyway, as a Christian and as someone who, if I do say so myself, I believe I'm a reasonable person, okay? So, what do you do if you put together a group? First of all, this is a very extremely difficult thing to do, and I'm finding it to be even more and more difficult. You know, trust is a big issue. How do you form a group? How do you meet people like this? How do you vet them? How do you do all of this and maintain your OPSEC? How do you go out trying to find people and I don't want to say recruit people, but, you know, find people that are close to you, that are like-minded, you know, family people, Christian values, not crazy, not with a bunch of baggage, and people are people, so we all have what we have, okay? But, you know, how do you do that? I do not have the answers. I'm not here to present the answers. I'm just here to present the question. As I'm trying to come up with the answers myself, I want you guys to be thinking about this stuff if you have not. How do you do all this stuff, trying to find these people and maintain your operational security, or at least maintain your anonymity? What do you do? What will you do if you find out someone is not a good fit after SHTF and they are already in your group? You know, a bad apple, you know, as I call it, or a bomb, you know. Say it's someone, say it's bad enough that someone needs to be purged from your group. How do you go about handling that? What is the protocol? These are things to think about before you put your group together, or as you're putting your group together, and everybody needs to be in agreement. You know, I've had some questions in my comments, and some comments in my comments, and I've had some emailed questions to me about groups, and some people asking me specifically about trying to form groups with them, you know, based on whether or not we're, you know, in a proximity to one another. So this is something I'm thinking about more and more. I don't know how to go about it exactly. If you guys have any ideas, please share them in the comments. But it's a really tough road. It's a tough road because, A, you've got to have all of the right people in place, right? All of the types of skills that I mentioned need to be there, need to be part of it. But how do you find these people? How do you vet them? How do you really know unless it's somebody you've known long term? And in a lot of cases, you know, I do know some people that have that have sort of a built-in group that they all grew up together, being of the same mind regarding prepping and these types of things that we talk about. And I know of people like myself who this is a relatively new thing, you know, 7-8 years worth that I've been even thinking about these things. So, excuse me, like I say, it's bad enough that someone must be purged from the group if they must be purged, but, you know, after the fact is going to be worse. What do you do? Like I say, I don't have the answers. I know I always say that community is important, and I believe that. I don't believe that me, my wife, and child are going to be able to hole up by ourselves and make it in the long term. I just don't. I know that we're not. For a little limited time, yes. But the long term, no. That's why we do need a group, okay? But I don't know. I guess this video is more of a question than it is an answer, and I just wanted to pose it to you guys. We won't make it without community, but building a proper working community is proving very difficult. You know, families, single people, old people, young people, kids, etc., babies, lots of things to consider. So you might vet and go through all these things and find just the right people with all the right skills, and you feel very good about it, and everybody in the group feels good about it, and then the shit hits the fan, and you're all at your bug out location or whatever, pardon me guys, and you find out somebody's a bum, or you find out somebody's not doing what was agreed upon, or you find out someone's not pulling their weight, or you find out someone does not actually have the skills that they claim to have, which frankly you should know that on the front end, or someone trying to undermine the leadership structure. Okay, so lots of things to consider. I just wanted to pose the question for you guys. Forcibly removing a bum, you know, from your prepping group in a after the SHTF scenario. That, I think people are going to deal with that more than maybe has been given thought to, at least in the videos and information that I've looked at. That's not something I've seen much of. I've seen a lot of information on the rest of it, but not on that. Listen guys, if you like the content that you're finding here, please click that subscribe button, and also go to my about section, and I've got an email address. You can send me an email. Lots of people have been doing that. I appreciate that. I'm going to respond to some of you guys that I have not yet. I will. And also there is a P.O. box there if you care to donate, support this channel in any way. You're not obligated. I'm not trying to hawk for that, but I'm just letting you know there is a P.O. box there if you want to send me any kind of correspondence in the mail, donations or otherwise. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate all my new subscribers. Hang on for the ride. We'll see you next time on Real World Prepper.